Mike the Headless Chicken, this rooster from Colorado, had become famous after surviving an accident that should have killed him. In 1945, his owner, Lloyd Olson, attempted to slaughter Mike, but the axe failed to completely sever his head, leaving part of his brainstem and one ear intact. But surprisingly, Mike continued walking around and showed signs that he was still alive. His owner soon realized what had happened and began taking care of him by feeding him liquid food and water directly into his throat. Mike eventually became a national attraction and was taken on tours across the United States, where people paid to see the unusual chicken. He survived for about 18 months after losing most of his head before finally dying after choking one night. Mike could not live forever, but surviving without most of his head for that long made him one of the strangest animals ever recorded to cheat death. The bowhead whale, one of the longest living mammals on Earth, with some individuals estimated to live for more than 200 years. It spends most of its life in the freezing waters of the Arctic and North Atlantic, where thick sea ice can make survival difficult. Yet its body is remarkably well adapted to these harsh conditions. Its enormous skull can break through thick sea ice, while its thick layer of blubber protects it from the extreme cold. Scientists have also found evidence that bowhead whales have unusually effective systems for repairing damaged DNA and maintaining healthy cells. Some whales have even been found with old harpoon fragments embedded in their bodies, showing that they survived attacks that happened decades earlier. Their combination of longevity, physical strength, and cellular defenses allows these whales to survive for generations. Axolotl. This animal can survive injuries that would permanently disable most animals because it can rebuild damaged parts of its body. If it loses a leg, tail, or even part of its spinal cord, its body can begin rebuilding the missing tissue instead of simply forming a scar. After an injury, cells around the wound reorganize into a structure called a blastema, which contains cells capable of developing into new tissues. Over time, the axolotl can regenerate bones, muscles, nerves, blood vessels, and skin, restoring the damaged body part. It can even repair parts of its heart and brain. The real reason behind this incredible survival ability is its unusual regenerative biology, which allows its cells to become more flexible and rebuild complex structures that adult humans cannot replace. Cockroach. This insect can survive extreme situations that would instantly kill most animals, which is why it seems almost impossible to destroy. Even after losing its head, a cockroach can survive for days because it breathes through openings along its body and does not rely on its mouth and nose to breathe. But its nervous system is also spread throughout its body, allowing basic movement to continue without the brain. But their most impressive survival trick may be their ability to adapt to pesticides. When insecticides are repeatedly used, resistant cockroaches can survive and reproduce, passing those traits to future generations. Over time, entire populations can become resistant to chemicals that were once highly effective. They may not be invincible, but their unusual biology and ability to evolve resistance to pesticides make them exceptionally difficult to kill. Turritopsis dohrnii. This tiny jellyfish can survive situations that would normally mean the end of its life by reversing its own life cycle. When the adult jellyfish is injured, starving, or under severe stress, it can transform its adult body back into a much earlier stage called a polyp. Its cells change their functions and reorganize the body, essentially allowing it to restart its development. But from this polyp stage, it can eventually produce new jellyfish and begin the cycle again. This process is called transdifferentiation, and it is extremely rare in animals. But this does not make Turritopsis dohrnii truly immortal. Predators, disease, environmental changes, or severe damage can still kill it. What makes it cheat death is its remarkable ability to escape a fatal stage of its life cycle by returning to an earlier form. Wood frog. This amphibians can survive being frozen solid during winter, a condition that would normally kill an animal because ice can destroy cells and organs. As temperatures drop, this frog allows much of the water in its body to freeze, causing its heart to stop and its breathing to shut down. But before the freezing becomes fatal, its liver produces large amounts of glucose that spread throughout its tissues. This sugar acts like a natural antifreeze, helping protect cells from damage as ice forms around them. This frog can remain frozen for weeks or 67 months with no heartbeat or breathing. When temperatures rise, the ice slowly melts, its heart starts beating again, and its organs return to normal function. Its real advantage is its ability to control where ice forms and flood its cells with protective glucose, allowing it to survive a state that would be fatal to most vertebrates. Naked mole rat. In a deep underground, oxygen can become dangerously scarce, but this animal has a remarkable backup plan, because when oxygen levels drop to almost nothing, a naked mole rat can switch its metabolism from using glucose to using fructose for energy. energy. This allows its brain and heart to keep working even when most mammals would quickly lose consciousness and suffer fatal organ damage. But it can also tolerate unusually high levels of carbon dioxide, which builds up inside its crowded underground tunnels. This adaptation is especially useful because naked mole rats live in large colonies where hundreds of animals may share the same burrow system, but instead of immediately shutting down when oxygen disappears, their bodies switch to a completely different energy source. But they may not be invincible, but this unusual metabolism gives them a way to stay alive in conditions that would normally be deadly. Planarian. Even if you cut one of these flatworms in half, it does not necessarily mean the end. A planarian can rebuild the missing parts of its body, and in some species, a piece containing only a small portion of the original animal can develop into a complete worm. But the secret is a huge population of stem cells called neoblasts, which can produce many different types of cells. But after an injury, these cells multiply and move toward the damaged area, replacing missing muscles, nerves, skin, and organs. This animal also has chemical signals that tell its cells whether they need to build a head, tail, or other body structures. This means a devastating injury can become the beginning of an entirely new body. Its remarkable regenerative system is what lets a planarian recover from damage that would be permanently fatal to most animals. Hydra. This tiny freshwater animal has a remarkable ability to rebuild itself after being severely damaged. Unlike a planarian, a hydra does not rely on one large population of neoblasts to recreate an entire body from a fragment. Instead, its body is constantly renewed by several types of stem cells that replace worn-out cells throughout its life. When a hydra is injured, the remaining tissue can rapidly reorganize, changing the shape and behavior of its cells until the missing structures are restored. Even when large sections of its body are removed, the surviving tissue can reconstruct the correct body pattern, including its tentacles and mouth. This happens because hydras have powerful systems that control where different body structures should form. Their real survival advantage is this constant cellular renewal and precise ability to reorganize damaged tissue, allowing them to recover from injuries that could be fatal to most animals. Tardigrade. This microscopic animal can shut itself down when its environment becomes deadly. When water disappears, it loses almost all the water in its body and curls into a dried-up form called a tun, slowing its metabolism to an extremely low level. Scientists have tested tardigrades under conditions that would kill most animals, exposing them to extreme cold, intense radiation, high pressure, and even the vacuum of space. Yet some have survived and later returned to normal activity when water became available again. Their bodies use protective molecules and specialized proteins to help shield their cells and DNA from damage while they are dormant. The secret is that they are not actively functioning through these extremes. They essentially put their biological processes on pause, allowing them to wait out conditions that would otherwise be fatal.